What Maiano says is really going on here is big-time corruption. City officials looking for bribes and businessmen ready to pay them.
90% of the waterfront pays off.
What do you mean?
Pays off. No matter what you want to do, either it's a warehouse, a pier, or a condominium, a restaurant, if you don't have the right connections and pay the right people, you get nothing done.
Maiano ought to know. In the mid-'80s, he patrolled the waterfront as chief of inspection for the Department of Ports and Terminals. It started his first day on the job with a routine inspection of the Hunts Point food terminal in the Bronx. Everywhere he turned, he saw building and safety violations and merchants offering him bribes to look the other way.
What do you want? Trousers, money, whatever it is that they can hand you, they will give you.
I mean, as open as that.
As open as that, that's it. Bribes, out bribes.
First day out in the field?
First 15 minutes on the job here.
What'd you think?
Flabbergasted, I was stunned.
But what shocked Maiano even more was how his bosses back at ports and terminals reacted when he told them about the bribe offers.
I was told keep my mouth shut, my eyes closed, not to create any waves, and not to cause any trouble. I would be taken care of.
You'd get your share?
Of course.
And what'd you do?
Well, I told them to go f themselves. Simple as that. I said, nobody's going to buy me, nobody's going to bribe me. Stay away from my unit.
He went to the city's Department of Investigation to say that he had evidence of widespread corruption.
I said, I've got to stop these sons of bitches. Somebody has to stop them. Somebody has to stop these people.
To stop the corruption on the waterfront, Maiano became part of a major DOI investigation. He pretended to be an inspector on the take, while at the same time wearing an undercover wire. Maiano also investigated this huge warehouse on the waterfront, operated by businessman John Lures. Lures offered to pay Maiano to overlook safety violations, an offer that was recorded on Maiano's undercover wire.
Just so we understood, no misunderstandings later on, I'm going to give you $2 grand, and then we'll ultimately get the thing legalized over there, so...
No question about it, that's how it's going to work.
Glenn Ripa was an assistant district attorney who prosecuted some of Maiano's cases.
He had street smarts. He had the gift of gab. He met with these people. He sat down. They'd have a little cappuccino, and the next thing you know, they felt very, very comfortable with him.
Maiano worked undercover all over the waterfront and still got top marks in his official job as chief inspector. So it was a shock when, without warning, the Ports and Terminals Commissioner called Maiano in and made this announcement.
On the advice of counsel and the Inspector General, you are hereby terminated. That's all I ever got.
The city has never explained why Maiano was fired, but former prosecutor Ripa says he knows why.
Joe Maiano was fired because he was too honest and he wouldn't play ball with the Department of Ports and Terminals.
Maiano wanted to fight for his job, but DOI pleaded with him not to, saying that if word got out on the waterfront that he had been working undercover, it would jeopardize the investigations. So Maiano agreed to accept his dismissal, but he insisted on protection. In a series of meetings, top city officials agreed to a deal. DOI would secretly pay Maiano's salary and for his medical and pension benefits. And once the cases were over, he would be restored to his position as if the termination had not occurred. As the investigations continued, Maiano received death threats. His home had to be protected, and his car was vandalized. But his work for the Department of Investigation paid off. The moment the gavel came down on the last conviction seems to have been the moment the city of New York forgot about all its promises to Maiano.
That job was reorganized out of existence.
City lawyer Lawrence Levy says he respects what Maiano did, but that it's impossible to turn the clock back to when he left the Ports Department. What's more, Levy says, the officials who worked out that legal contract with Maiano didn't have the authority to make all those promises.
And I think they made a mistake.
Wait. You're saying that this agreement was a mistake? It wasn't legal?
If an agent of the government does something that's beyond his authority and make a mistake, the government cannot be bound.
Former prosecutor Ripa is so angry about the city's failure to keep its promises that he's taken up Maiano's case.
He spent numerous years working undercover, making cases for the city, helping them prosecute corruption in the city, And now they don't want to honor the agreement after they've gotten everything they want from Joe.
Maiano has suffered another blow when his wife Yolanda had to have a heart bypass operation.
All of a sudden, the hospital says, your insurance is worthless. You have no insurance.
They had promised you in the agreement.
They took it out of my pay. They took the medical out of my pay.
The medical bills have piled up, more than $40,000 worth, and the hospital is now suing for payment.
Oh, we had a nice time.
But while the city acknowledges it's responsible, Maiano says it has delayed paying the bills, pressuring him to settle his claim against the city.
Are you aware that he is being sued for that money?
Yes.
Why don't you just pay it?
We've told him for a year that we would, as part of this settlement, pay those medical bills.
But what does that have to do with a settlement? You made a mistake. He's in trouble. Pay the bills.
In terms of resolving it, I just didn't think that was the right way to do it.
Levy presented what he calls his final offer to Maiano, an annuity instead of a pension, a new medical plan, and a city job on a provisional basis at Maiano's pay scale of $48,000.
But why should he believe your agreement when he sees what's happened to him for 5 years with this agreement?
Because this is something that we can deliver.
But Mr. Levy, he thought he had exactly that same assurance 5 years ago.
Yes.
And what was it worth?
We've explained the legal impediments, as I've said.
What are we talking about? Millions here? We're talking about giving a guy his job back. Simple as that. Give me my pension and my job back. What's right, what's morally, legally, ethically correct to do.
The city of New York decided to cut Maiano off. No more money for salary, pension, or health benefits. So Joe Maiano, who risked his career and his life to do the right thing, was forced to sign up for unemployment.
186, please.
They're using me as an example. Say, look, hey, we got a chief inspector here. He didn't get with the program. And I was foolish enough to try and think I could do something about it. Foolish.
The bad guys win?
Yes, the bad guys have won. And they've been winning a long time in this city.
In 1994, Joe Maiano was working at New York City's Department of Environmental Protection, and his wife's outstanding hospital bills had been paid. But Mr. Maiano's suit against the city had not been settled. As we've seen, those who choose the noble act of whistleblowing can face devastating consequences. Consider the fate of another whistleblower. On November 22nd, 1992, the body of Tom Monfiles was found at the bottom of a 20-foot vat at the James River Paper Mill in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Days earlier, Monfiles had reported a worker theft to police.
I'm sorry, which is going to occur? Taking stuff out of the paper mill. So it did not occur yet? Not yet, no. He gets off shift at 6:30.
Monfiles assumed his 911 call would remain anonymous, but a tape of his conversation was released to the employee who later confessed to the theft. Keith Kutska played the tape to more than 40 people. Monfiles' voice was recognized, and the next day he was found dead. No one has been charged with the crime, but in 1993, the victim's wife filed complaints against 8 individuals and the union. The union has denied any wrongdoing. Another whistleblower, Jacqueline Brever, claims a campaign of harassment was waged against her after she disclosed safety violations at the Rocky Flats Nuclear Weapons Complex in Colorado. She believes she was intentionally exposed to radiation.
When I extended the glove its full length, the alarm sounded and I was contaminated. I believe that I was set up.
But a suit Brever filed was dismissed. The production of plutonium was shut down in 1989. In 1992, Rockwell International, the plant's operator, paid over $18 million in fines for safety violations. Each year, the National Whistleblower Center in Washington gives awards to individuals who have been brave enough to speak up. In 1994, the center recognized engineer Linda Mitchell for her disclosures of safety violations at the Palo Verde nuclear plant in Arizona.
People don't want to be seen with you on the job site. They don't want to have anything to do with you.
and they want to make you think that you're the problem.
The National Whistleblower Center warns all potential whistleblowers to think hard before they act and to prepare themselves legally and emotionally before they speak out. Next, a mugging in a tough Bronx neighborhood leads to a murder and the creation of a hometown hero when the Justice Files continues.